let's get into this last part, which now understanding this basis, I think, is going to help, yeah, rather than we go straight into it. Part of it, I sent you guys the documents where, because there is something that is important to see the dates and the sequence of dates and different indicators that have appeared in this process. But there were a lot, you know, like when in the transition of the dates that we went through the different spaces of the psychic matrix, or the matrix of the psyche, there was so many connections, but I try to synthesize the most important ones, because I think it's very it explains a lot. It explains a lot. It helps to see certain dates in this kind of how it's kind of unfolded. So I have it open here anyway, but just for you guys to know that that's what I sent you. I sent you the dates and the graphs, the graphs of it, the different graphs that have appeared. But I do think that you guys have been sharing the graphs, and like the translation is working very well, because it's found this good balance between being able to produce in general, and then having these specific high quality translations that Denise and his name Jorge, I forgot his name now, but both of them are doing, so that's very good. A good Jose, yeah. Jose, I knew there was a J. I knew it started with a J. So okay, let's get into this next part. Now, if we begin to understand that a calendar is a means of communication between space-time structures, the reality of our family, of our solar system, between these ranges of consciousness, with our particular consciousness, yeah, our particular soul in its genetic projection. A change in calendar is not an anecdotal thing, okay? It's something that is going to have implications. It's going to have implications in the communication between both. So for a long time, Alejandra's been talking about there's a specific, because one thing we want to see here is a phenomena, which is that an accident in the psyche is seen from the future. It's just a new it's a new beauty. It's a new natural beauty. And the example that Alejandra puts, and I thought it was very good, is like, you see where these geographic accidents occur, like meteorites or even seismic movements, and you know, where there's been a lot of kind of violent changes, accidents occur, are actually the same places now that are natural beauties, and a lot of them are close to the areas where we live. It created the conditions of places that are enriched to live. And well, the same thing with the psyche. So when there's an accident, like an accident in the psyche, okay, seen from the past, you can see it as a bit traumatic, because it is. But seen from the future, you're not going to see so much. It's not so the traumatic accident is actually creating the conditions of a new natural beauty. That without the accident, the natural beauty wouldn't be there. So the same thing that is reflected on the Earth's body, we could also see it in our psyche, because that's kind of how the good and bad thing just doesn't stop. We don't see it that way. We just see, okay, accidents, but becoming natural beauties. What we're doing is the transition. We're doing the one thing is the trauma and one thing is the trama. The trama in Spanish, trama means the trama, the plot, the plot. So from the accidents to the natural beauty, there's a plot. There's this, but we have to do the transition of that plot. Yeah. I'm going to summarize this in the change that occurred between the Julian and Gregorian calendar. That's the first accident. Now, any accidents, why? Because it's the calendars are means of communication between the souls, the genetic projections, and the structure, the space-time structures. Yeah. So if there's a change, well, it's going to create an accident in that communication. In the Julian, because the Julian calendar had conditions which were very good for a certain type of psyche, and the Gregorian calendar has created conditions that it's good for a different type of psyche, which actually we're going to be using both. Yeah. Now I'll begin to talk about that difference, but what's important in this change is also the dates, the years that it occurred and all that. Yeah. I'm just going to briefly explain what the Julian calendar was very good for and what the Gregorian calendar is very good for. The Julian calendar was a good, it provided a good psyche for the genetic projections to connect with the soul. It was very good for that. Okay, so I'm just going to begin to go into this. You see that we have the bottom calculator. Let me put because we have to kind of combine both. Let's share. Okay, can you see the three calculators? We're not going to get into detail, but more or less it's kind of like the bottom is more into that kind of genetic projection, where that's where the communication with others occurs, but that's also the projection into the kind of body, we could say. The middle is more about the communication with oneself, or the communication, it's more the area of the particular consciousness of the soul, we could also say. Yeah. This is always the difficult thing about these logical structures, that you can't really restrict them. It's always a logical fractal. So you can't just say, oh, the bottom one is the body, and oh yes, but what is the body doing? It's communicating with others. So there's more to it to just one definition. Yeah, just to be open to that. Now, the Julian calendar was communicating very good. It started to reconnect and communicate very good. The genetic projection with the soul and that communication. What is like the attitude of the Julian calendar is, I communicate with the soul, which has a wider view. It's going to transfer me in that communication, so I won't commit a mistake. That is the attitude. That is the connection. I connect with my soul, because the soul is going to provide me has a wider range. It's gonna filter through what I need to know to not make a mistake. So I'm safe. Nothing happens. So it's kind of like prevention. Okay. Now that is very nice for the genetic projection, and that is very nice for the soul, but it's not so good for reality. Okay, the one at the top. Why is that? Because reality only learns when there's mistakes and when there's errors. So if there starts to be a very, very good connection and where there's no mistakes going on, we're going to be in this kind of like, the destiny was going, where it was going towards was a very like kind of paradise kind of, everything is cool and well and nothing goes wrong because, there's this sync, there's this complete sync, but there's no errors, so it's a mechanism of prevention of errors. Now, this started to communicate very well, and then something was said, okay, this is not all that cool because we need errors to learn from. And that's the kind of change of calendar. Like that's kind of the moment where the Spanish Inquisition starts. Why was that occurring? Because people were connecting with their souls. You see, they were connecting with their souls, and in that connection with their souls, from their point of view, it was like they were going to lose control. But so that's the Spanish Inquisition, because you don't burn a person who's disconnected, because you burn people who are connecting themselves. So what happens with the change of calendar? Now, I'm not very sure if this is like done intentionally. I don't think, to be honest. Alejandra does kind of think that they had a knowledge, so they changed it intentionally. I don't think they had that. I just think that Earth sent that signal and they changed the calendar. But the change of calendars, basically, they went from they took 10 days out, and they went from the 4th of August, 1582, and suddenly appeared on the 10th of August, 1582. And a new type of calendar started, which is the Gregorian calendar, and they stopped using the Julian calendar. Yeah. And now that at the beginning, it creates a disconnect between the soul and the genetic projections. Okay, so it creates a disconnect there. But it disconnects that to connect what? The genetic projections with the reality, with space-time structures. Now think that is a process. Yeah. What we want is to connect all of them, but the thing is that the soul, it is using its narrow point of view to control, in a way, the destiny of the genetic projection. Okay. All right. So like this kind of thing of like meditation, the meditation is very much Julian quality. It's like this thing that I go into the space and I connect with this wisdom of my soul, and that kind of provides me an answer, and okay, I go into, it's that mechanism. Now, this other mechanism is directly from reality to the genetic projection. So directly from reality to the genetic projection, and then the soul in the middle is learning. It's a different mechanism. So that's why probably in this new meditation doesn't make so much sense, in the sense of it's probably it's not going to be so much necessary, because directly reality communicates with your physical form, and then the soul observes that communication and learns in the middle. You see, because that there's a few things that's there. Like the Julian calendar is like, there is a dimension of the soul that is filtering through to this incarnation, let's say, vehicle. Now in the Gregorian calendar, it's like the qualities of because it's like the third dimension is connecting with the fifth dimension, and the fifth dimension in remote view is sending back the filtering of the information. Now, in the new is that within the third dimension, meaning within the 3 dimensions which create the physical experience, now the idea is to install those mechanisms of fifth dimension within the third dimension. So it's not so much about connecting with, it's receiving that directly from reality within, it's like a mechanism of fifth dimension within the third dimension. It's not 5 and 3 like in distance communicating. It's this fifth dimension creating the qualities of itself in third dimension. So this like is not necessary so much for the whole meditation thing, because that's when there's a disconnect, or sorry, not a disconnect. That's when there's a distance. You see, so okay, so basically, always if there's going to be a change in the calendar, the one that can agree to that change is not the souls. The souls can execute. The ones that can agree to that change are the space-time structures. And why would they agree to that a change? Like, why would they agree to that contract? Because there's something very useful out of that. And in this case, it's the direct connection between space-time structures and genetic projections. Can you see? It's more like 3 with 1, and then this one is is observing what's occurring. So it doesn't, this one's not meditating and receiving here information and all that. No, it's like this, and then in that interaction, the soul, which is the self-awareness, is reading and interpreting it, and it's learning. It's expanding its width. Before it has this width, and this one receives whatever that soul has. So if the soul had an open or a close, that's what was filtered through. But this way, because whatever's here, like whatever doesn't, the soul can only have an angle of reach. Out of that angle of reach, it's all dark. Okay, so how can the soul begin to see what's dark for itself? This is the mechanism. Through the physical projection. That's what is making the soul learn. That's why it incarnates, because that's how it can amplify its range, its angle. You see, because it's dark. It's like it can only have this reach. So how can it amplify the reach? You see, well, reality is directly in contact with all the physical forms. Like, my psyche can disconnect with the earth, but my body can't. My psyche can, but my body can't. The physical elements of my body can't. It's always connected. You see? Okay, so there's a change in calendar because there's a change in the mechanisms of communication of the psyches. Okay. Now, what do we want really is all of them. We also want to be able to receive, we want all the communications possible. But in order to, if this communication was becoming too fluid and this one too isolated, that means that it just started to become a game between the soul and the genetic projection, and not so much about the needs and the requirements of reality. You see? So we disconnect this for a bit, okay, which is not, it's not, it is not nice, but it reconnects this. And when this reconnects, we can bring this one in, see? And allow all these to communicate, because that's what we want. We want all these levels to communicate. So let's look at the kind of the time reference of this, yeah? Now, there I talk about indicators and references and the difference between both. What is a reference and the difference of an indicator? A reference is something that is global, okay? Like, I will see it while I explain it. And an indicator is something which is more personal, okay? But sometimes we need personal indicators to connect with global references. Now, let's look at these historical events, okay? the change of calendar of Julian to Gregorian. Now, especially stick with the year, okay? The day and the dates are very important. The end of the Julian calendar is the 4th of October, 1582. The 4th of October, 1582. And the beginning of the Gregorian calendar is the 15th of October, 1582. Okay. Now, there's a couple of historical phenomena that occurred that we found out, that we discovered during the process of the matrix of the Psyche. And one of them is that, look at the year, there's an asteroid that is called the Psyche asteroid. And look when it was discovered. It was discovered on the 17th of March, 1852. Now look at that year, 1852, and look at 1582. It's got the same digits there, because 5, 8, and 2, 2, 5, and 8. Let me show you here. Probably you'll see it better. Can you see that? What is the nuke? Because this is, I didn't put that. Let me see. This is the first field, the second field, the third field, the fourth field, the fifth field, the sixth, 7, 8, 9. Can you see that in each calculator there's a heart in the center? Like here it's 5, here it's N, and here it's V. Okay. Now, in which fields? Because the heart of that calculator is the center of administration in that area of the Psyche. Okay. Now, which are the 3 centers and which field do they belong? 2, 5, 8. Okay. These points are strategically important. We have talked about the importance of 2, 5, 8, 8, 5, 2, but they're strategically important. Yeah. And we can see that with this date of the calendar. Okay. I just want for you to have a glimpse of the importance of the dates that are going to appear here. And then the Psyche is the 1852. The discovery of Pluto is not that important, but we'll see it in another moment. Pluto was discovered, it's the 9th planet, and the 9th planet is the 9th field. And it has a significance there, but we'll see it later on. It's not that important now. Now, something that is very important and is the end of convertibility of US dollar to gold, which happened in 1971. Now, why is that so important? Gold is a mineral. A mineral belongs to Earth. It's a connection. Gold is very important. It has a high conductivity. Gold has a high conductivity. It's used for a lot of things, for electrical conductivity. Yeah. Now, the US dollar was sustained by a mineral. So it had, how can I say, money, which is just this human concept. It has a mineral standing point. Well, in this year, it took it out. So what happened? It just started to become money. Just this illusional construction of an idea. Okay. So that is a bit of an imbalance that is created there. But always remember, it's a rule of space-time, and accidents is a future natural beauty. So there's always a problem is really from the future a solution. Okay. But that year is very important, 1971, very important, 1971, especially the year, okay? Then, straight after that year, we start having what is called the leap second. You guys are familiar with it, yeah? It's like in this atomic clock, it has a precision, a very, very high precision, where we can adjust our time, the time that we administrate. Yeah, so it's like little filtrations of an adjustment. Yeah, like the Psyche was those little filtrations of adjustment. Like the calendar change is a macro adjustment. These are seconds. These are micro changes in time, but they still changes. And if we change our administration of time, we are doing an adjustment in our communication between time, the consciousness of Earth, the sun, and all that. And that was in 1972. That is the first adjustment, 1972. Very important year, 1971 and 1972. You can see why it's so interesting that now 972 and 971 have established this agreement, because they are the two starting points of this psychic, of this matrix of the psyche, this kind of reconstruction of the psyche. 7-1 is, now these which I'm talking about are references. These are very important global references, because for the dollar, which is the currency of one is the coding that is giving us the reference of our, where are we standing upon the slowest plane. So if that, and that's why it's kind of the currency that coordinates the rest, yeah. And that used to have a sustainability on gold, and then it's okay. That's important globally. That's not just globally. The change of calendar, that's a global change. Okay, the leap second, that's a global change. Now this date that I'm going to talk to you about, it's very important in what we're going to see, but it's not a reference. It's an indicator. Why? Because it's the death of a prosecutor here in Argentina who died in the 18th of January 2015. And that death was very significant, very polemic, because he was just about to provide information about the Kirchner family. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Kirchner family. They have been in power in Argentina for the last years, and well, they were just about they're very much involved in very high levels of corruption, of corruption, of stealing a lot of money and blah blah blah. And just about when Nisman, this prosecutor, was about to provide evidence against the Kirchner, he died. Yeah. So his death has always been very important, an indicator. So this is not something so global; it's much more local. But it's always been an important indicator within the process for Alejandra, but in general for the process. Like a lot of times we'd look at his number. Now, what happened? And also Nisman was also investigating a terrorist act that occurred here in Argentina in the embassy of Israel, okay, which is a bombing which apparently was done by Iran, okay? So there's a connection there with Israel, just for you to also have that 972, yeah. Now the matrix of the days that we were looking through the matrix, because the years that these leap seconds were added, or these adjustments, there have been 27 adjustments, okay? I'm going to pass you all this information, so don't worry. I just want for you to get the feel of the process, not there's something ordering there, yeah? Now, what was I saying? That, okay, now there's 27 adjustments of the atomic second, and there's 27 letters in the Spanish alphabet. And Alejandro was already seeing, I'm not sure if you remember, guys, in the previous one, we already started to go JKL. Do you remember? And it was like, well, there's actually 9 fields of, and JKL, LM, and it ends in Z. And we were starting to see this, but very, very much just it is like when you see the emergence of something new, but you don't know how it's going to, how it's connected to something. So this was an anticipation of something that is building. And I started to see this thing, which was also very important during the process of this added seconds, which the last one occurred in 2016. So during the process, I remember living the moments of there's going to be a second adjustment. And well, there was a synchronicity that happened with me with a friend from Spain in Madrid. It's an anecdote, but it was very important and indicator, very important indicator. So, okay, so there's 27 added seconds. And Ale started to say, okay, so there's 27 box. Let's put each year in each box. And then what happened is that something occurred in Argentina, and is that there was a Israelite spy that said publicly on the 11th of the 6th, that's where the matrix begins, the 11th of the 6th of 2020, and it ends on the 26th of the 7th, 2020. Don't worry, all this will come together, yeah? I just have to explain the steps. On the 11th of the 6th, an Israelite spy communicated to a journalist that he had handed very important information to Niesman, to this prosecutor, about how the Kirchner were moving their money and doing their business, yeah? Okay, and then, so he was kind of like, I don't think it was an accident, because there's the whole thing that he committed suicide. He's like, I don't think it was an accident, kind of. So Ale directly said, okay, let's look at Niesman. And this is where the pieces come together. This is where the pieces come together. Always remember that Alejandra, Ale, is a function of Earth. Very important. It's a function of Earth. A function in all this. Not a master, not a leader, a function. And in that function, she has a very important role in the communication of something, okay? So it's not idealizing anyone, it's just seeing, if we're not idealizing Niesman, and we're not idealizing Ale, and we're not idealizing Cristina Kirchner, and I'm not idealizing, it's just we are functions. And this is how it comes. This information came out because Ale was fulfilling her function, but she's not it's nothing more than that. No guru stuff. That's all about old psyche structure. It's not about that. It's just we are all interdependent in our functions, and some people are going to be communicators and anticipate a communication. Nothing more, nothing less. That's the story, yeah? Now, when Ale looks and says, how many days have gone since Niesman's death on the 11th of the 6th? She says, she sees that number. Date since the death of Niesman on the 11th of the 6th, 1971. Wow. Okay, that's connected to when the gold is retired. Okay, that's an important number. Then she says, okay, what's my numbers with Niesman? And she sees 39093. If you see there, you are seeing, it's called a mirror number. It's a mirror number. Sorry, yeah, a mirror number. No. It's a reflection number. Okay, not important. But what is important about 3 and 9? What is so important about that? 3 is the position of Earth within a family of 9. That's why Italy has this reference of the great family. You say the La Famiglia of the Italian family. Why has the Italians have that? because it's how Earth is relating with all the members of the family, including itself. What is a family? The way that one is relating with all the members, including itself. Well, that's 39, okay? Now it's 3993, okay. Now what's the concept of, this is the distortion of the psyche. How does the human psyche within the Italian code translate familia, the family? They translate it as the cosa nostra. What does cosa nostra mean? It means our thing. It means we have to protect our family against other families. That is the translation of their native code. The family is all of us. You know, like if you think that it's our thing against your thing, but can you see how can I say, a function when it goes through a psyche, which is a structure that is, well, let's say not the best coherency, and then the mentality, what they talk, what they formulate, what they express is, let's kill him because he's against my family. Let's kill because it's our thing. Can you see? So what are we redefining here? What do we see as family? What is family? Is it our thing? In the sense of our, like, you know, it is our thing in the sense of the whole solar system in connection with others, no? But it's like, is it, you know, my surname against your surname? Okay, so that's very important, 3993. And zero, what is zero? What is zero? Zero is a reset. So the family of the past is resetting because there's a new family coming from the future, which includes your family, but it's a higher level of family, okay? Okay, that's the first important clue. Second important clue, on that same day, Ali said, okay, Nisman and Christina Kirchner, they are completely connected, okay? These are just indicators, yeah? But, okay, so what's the day of life I have with Christina Kirchner? Seeing Ali as functionally, yeah? 43034. Now, why is it so important? Apart that it's a beautiful number like that, and the same way with Nisman. Why is it so important? Because 34 is Spain, and what is the this matrix of the psyche constructed upon? The Spanish alphabet. What is the capital of Spain? Madrid. What does Madrid mean? What does Madrid mean? It means uterus. It means matriz. Actually, the people of Madrid, they really, the way that you would say it normally is Madrid, but the people of Madrid say matriz. They say Madrid. Why do they say it with a Z? Because the word comes from matriz. And it's the number of Madrid is 91, the code. What the word Psyche, how much does it sum? 91. 91 is the sum of the word Psyche, and 91 is the code of Madrid, which the name is called a uterus or a matriz, and it's the capital of Spain, where we have the Spanish alphabet. You see? Okay, so it is it's having that important number there. Now, in the Gregorian calendar, meaning the Gregorian calendar is since the 15th of October, 1582, since the 15th of October. How many days had gone from that date until the 11th of June this year? 159851. Now, okay, what's so important about that? 98 is the way that those are numbers that update the whole system. When a purpose is updated, that is synchronized in the whole system. Iran, the country, is 98. And Iran is, in Spanish, if you read the word Iran, it's ¿a dónde irán? Where are we going to go? Where are we going? Where are we going? 9-8. And then you have 1-5 and 5-1 on the sides. 5-1 is the number that is talking about the biological unconscious. Okay? So in this Gregorian calendar, which is reaching this level of maturity, and remember, what is the Gregorian calendar doing? Reconnecting reality with the genetic projections. Reconnecting reality with the genetic projections. Okay. So, and the biological unconscious is the articulation of all this. Okay, so it's got that there. Then, how many days has Ale got with the Psyche asteroid on the? Why do I put the 30th of the 6th, 1972? That is the first day. That is the first second in which that is the first leap second of the atomic second. On that date, Ale and the Psyche asteroid together, the days of life is 43934. Okay, the Psyche asteroid is, so what is it? This is a connection between the Psyche and these leap seconds that are filtering through, modifying and adjusting time. When you do those adjustments, that has an effect on the Psyche. So these seconds are constructing or filtering through new, you see the filtering through of like new windows, remember? Like, so just imagine each leap year is a new window. And suddenly you start seeing a lot of different things that you couldn't see, but it's building itself slowly. And it has to do with 3-4, which is the Spanish alphabet, which is the stencil upon which these years are organized in this thing here, yeah? Alice Toomey reflection reflects the years. Okay, Alice Toomey, if you see the years of her Toomey, they are on the exact years in which the seconds, the leap seconds, are organized in this bottom part here. So it is 1972, those years. Wait, actually, I'm gonna. Can you see the years there? Can you see there's a year at the bottom, and then it's in each of these spaces. So 1972 is in the first space, and 1972 is in the second space. So why is there 2 times 1972? Because there was a second that was introduced on the 30th of June, and another second introduced on the 31st of December. Okay, the ones that you see in yellow are on the 31st of December, and the ones you see in green are on the 31st of June. Okay, but all those years that you see, 1972, 1973, 1974, 1975, 1976, 1977, 1978, and 1979 are the exact years in which Alejandra's dates of the Toomey are. Exact years, like exactly. Okay, is this, she's a prophet from, no, she's a function. This happens to all of us. If you have a negative connection, which is expressed through your dates with life. We sing Ale because of her role, her position, her communicative position. Yeah. But it's exactly in those areas. And what is the Toomey? The Toomey is how the psyche of each human being is constructed. This one we see here is more like the earth psyche in relationship with the human psyche, yeah? But the Toomey is about how the psyche becomes is printed into the brain. And so exact dates, okay? Is not a coincidence. Let me see if there's any more. Okay, I think there's more, but oh, the global quarantine on the 11th of the 6th, on the 11th of of June 2020, where this process starts. The global quarantine, which is where this process started, was I just realized something. Well, 2792. Can you see there from the right? It is 2972. So you got Israel again there. That is not any indicator. That I'm talking about very key indicators that we use. Okay, so there's an indication that there's other things there, but I don't want to go into too much. Yeah, if you sum up 1582 plus 1852, those 2 years, why they're important? Because it's the beginning of the Gregorian calendar, and then it's the year that the Psyche asteroid was discovered. If you sum them up, you have 3434. Okay. Now again, Spain. It's not because Spain is great. It's just got a function. It's the same way that America's got a function in the regulation of the dollar, and it's just a function. It's not, this is not about. Spain has got a specific function in this organization of the alphabet. Okay. No, I think those are a bit too much. We're getting into too much. Okay, I don't want to go into so much. There's more links to it, but okay, what do we get out of here? That okay, so from the 11th of the 6th to the 26th from the 11th of June 2020, from the 26th of July 2020, what were we seeing there? We're taking the days since Nisman died, because he was the indicator. And we're beginning to see how those dates fall on into the different areas of this matrix. Let me see if I can explain that, because if I don't have this, it's going to be difficult. No, this is not the best one. Let's just see that. Why is it not? Okay. No, I have to choose a different. Did it change the? Can you see that? Is that is? Okay. Well, there what we have. I'm not sure if you can see it. It's not very good quality, and it's got 1972, and then at the bottom it says 11 de junio, which is the June 11th. Can you see that? Is it there, or is it not? Okay, and then you have the 12th of June, which is, oh, sorry, the 11th of June is 1971. That's 90, it's not 1,971 days since Nisman died. 1971 is very important because that's upon which 1972 stands upon. Okay, so the 12th of June is related to when Nisman had 1,972 days since his death. The 13th of June is 1,973 days since his death. Why is this so important? Because it's connecting with these years in which the leap second was introduced, and all these instant modifications were occurring in our human psyche. Okay, and these modifications of the human psyche had a plan matrix. It wasn't just, it had a, okay, there was it had a sequence, it had a structure to it. It was reconstructing. Remember I said about the word is the word, and it's it has like certain conditions and able to use the word. Well, it's reconditioning the uterus of our consciousness. We could say that the psyche is like a uterus for our consciousness. It's like a uterus, and the mind is the kind of emitter of spermatozoids, and then the mentality is the baby that is built at the end, so it's changing, reconditioning the uterus of our consciousness, we could say. That's basically kind of like what is happening in those very frenetic, very very intense days. A lot of information, a lot of connections were happening. But at the end of the day, what's important is just to understand that there is a structure to the psyche. There is a new psyche which has a new structure, and we are discovering that structure. It's not something we are doing, it's something that the earth is doing, and we're just finding out, and we are just following the clues which the dates which the calendar is offering us, the clues of how this is interconnecting. And now another clue is that the starting point of this psyche is 1971, 1972, and some days ago we have this agreement between 971 and 972, which is foundational ground of our civilization, of the psyche of our civilization. This is not coincidence. Okay, maybe we're seeing it at a very sophisticated level, but everybody's noticing something going on. Okay, we're just seeing it not sophisticated, we're just seeing it in a very geeky way, like we're not just seeing the program, how it works, we're seeing the coding of how that program is being constructed. We're looking at the very fine negative detail of it. But in a nutshell, it's a new psyche is emerging. This is something that is not something that we're doing, we're just participating, becoming conscious of it. And what I noticed that what I can kind of say is that it's a psyche that is interrelating the intention of the humans with Earth's intention. It's creating it's not creating two separate, opposite psyches which have different intentions. It's linking with them. And remember, like I said, what is the psyche? A psyche allows to have space, new space within your mentality. Okay, because if you have space, then you can use that space for a new purpose. Austria is also there. There's some things that are very interesting about Austria, about the Austrian School of Economics, but it's very interesting because they understand it in such an organic way. It's like seeing in economics a theory of economics which has axioms of reality, like beautiful, But okay, that apart, so the psyche, what is this new psyche also allowing us? Okay, to breathe from the negative. So to breathe from the negative, to create more space in our mentality. When you can create more space within your house, if you can, in a way you can, have more space, then you can build new bedrooms, you can amplify your mentality. But if you don't have more space, you can't do that. So why 1971 is a new purpose for a space. 71 is space. But what is the destiny of that space? For that new purpose to become biological. 72. 972. Israel, 972. The purpose of life. Where did the great religions come? From there. but because that ground has that the purpose of life is coming out of that. If that purpose is in a is creating a distorted psyche or not is a different deal. What I'm saying is that territory is very important. I'm not talking about the society. I'm talking about the territory. That territory, the people in it are just receiving that, and they translating it with the psyche that they can. Yeah. HTO, everyone. That's goodbye. I'm not sure what HTO is. Well, okay, I'm gonna wrap it up. Yeah. Okay. Bye, Alice. Bye. Just gonna wrap this up and with a couple of things here. Okay. Now, we sum up 1971, 1972. Okay, but that's a different story. I don't want to get into that. I think that's okay. Just thinking of another indicator. I think that'll be all right for today. So let me see one. There's 91 plus 115. Oh, by the way, the word Psyche, the one that ends with a S, Psyche sums up 115. Which that is important because 5-1 is the biological unconscious, and 1 is 1. You know, so how are we using the biological unconscious? The other word, Psyche, the one that ends with E, is not 9-1. 9-1. Okay. So if you see the year 1971, if you see it, it's 7-1, and on the other side it's 9-1. So it's space. And it's the psyche creating that space, yeah. And then it's 9-1, and then 7-2, and it's the psyche creating a new biology. Because what we are creating is new space, which is allowing a new potential of the mind to germinate, to grow in our mentality. And the mentality is printing into the brain. So we are, this is creating a new biology. You see? And then I said the Spanish alphabet is important. Well, the ending is 2016. Why is that important? Because if you sum up the word Psyche and Psyche, it sums up 206. If you can see, what do we have there? 206, but we got 1 there. Okay, 1 is 1 integrating that Psyche and Psyches. Okay? That's the end here. And the importance of the Spanish alphabet, like I said before, that's why the 3-4 appeared in quite a few places. That's why it's based on the Spanish alphabet. But if you see, like, it's based on the Spanish alphabet, but it's connected with what happened in USA and what's happening with the calendars. This is a global thing. The Earth is using all its mechanisms to interconnect it in order to produce a wiser consciousness, a wiser human, because it wants to become a wiser Earth for a wiser solar system. To increase consciousness is not to become more cunning, it's to become wiser. And we become wiser when our intelligence is in service to growing, for everyone to grow. That's wisdom. Not for me to grow, my soul to grow and screw the rest. That's not wise. So the expansion of consciousness is the growing wisdom of nothingness through experiencing itself in the expressed universe. Okay. Okay, guys. Whew. My, my mentality, which has been self-expressing a lot, now I want to go into my consciousness, like pure, just being. Probably maybe this last pit has been a bit overwhelming with the dates. I'm not sure how it came to you guys. It's not so, like, what I want to show there is that there's a very interconnected process occurring that is using this calendar, which is a communicator between reality and the souls and the genetic projections, and the calendar is giving us these clues from what reality, the space-time structures, is doing. And if we can begin to see that there is this puzzle constructing itself, and that we part of that construction, we can start seeing that if we part of it, then the reality can communicate with its contents, and its contents with reality. We are going to stop having an isolated psyche. That's what's happened. We've had an isolated psyche. That's why people feel lonely. Like, how can you feel lonely if you're in connection with the environment? How can you feel lonely? Like, how can you commit suicide for being lonely? That is something in your psyche. That's not real. We're deeply in communication, because you're looking for communication only in one way. You're looking for social communication, which I understand, which is very important. But I'm saying, if you are really if your soul is communicated in communication with space-time structures, with environments that it's immersed in, with reality, with earth consciousness, with sun consciousness, how are you gonna, how would you translate that as loneliness? You never feel lonely. There's no, it would make no sense. You see? The feeling of isolation is a symptom of a psyche that is not translating with this top part. And when you begin to open that communication, there's no such feeling that isolation just doesn't come into play. There's an integration of communication. There's a difference. Okay, I'm still a soul that has an angle. I'm not earth. But integration is not melting together. It's interconnecting it. I'm still I've got a genetic projection which has its own needs and limits, and okay, I understand that, and I'm in communication with others socially, with other. All these are interconnected, but or related, but they part of the same dance. They part of the same intention. That's the thing. We can have very great. What have humans done very good? We have created diversity. But that diversity is not connected with a common intention. What can give us the common intention? Earth is our common ground. It's the center that communicates us together. We need a psyche that recognizes that. Then we can all self-express in our uniqueness, but connected with the same intention. And not have a feeling of being an isolated soul. And finding the need in prostituting your soul to agree to want to be accepted by others. Prostituting, you can't do that to yourself. We can't continue to do that. We have to self-express our soul, and the only way of not trying to agree and want others to love me and all that stuff is when you understand that the environment is what's containing your communication. And with others, you're not trying to rob their attention, trying to want them like you. No, you are self-expressing because that's what we publicly need to do. Self-express all these angles, because we have to, this is the thing, we have to share our art. Not prostitute our art. We have to share our art. Meaning your angle is not my angle. So we need to share our art, I mean, as articulation of self-expression. And not do it for the other one. What do artists do? They do it, look at me, look how I, that is not the pure intention of art. It's not about others wanting you, loving you. It's to self-express. Yeah. So, okay. We finish this today. Well, thanks a lot to you all, and we'll meet again to start looking directly into this structure here. Yeah. Into the into the structure, and also seeing the maps of the reaches and the limits and all that. Yeah.
David,
so,
can I just ask something? And if not, for the next time, these 10 lost days, do we understand anything about their significance?
Yes, it's a disconnect and it's a reconnect. It's so disconnect.
Those that are born in these 10 days, as Gabby makes the comment, what sort of connection, or have we not got a handle on this yet?
No, it's just a very much linked to that
disconnect,
to that wound in the psyche. Like, you see, sometimes, you know, the wound of the uterus, the wounds that the memory of the family has, and it's so if a baby is born there, it receives that wound. You know what I mean? It receives the wound of that memory or whatever. Okay. Now, why does it receive that wound? Because the wound from the future is a natural beauty. So, for example, I have my negative. I'm also very much involved, connected with these days. My negative falls on these days, on the 12th of October, which is within these days. And my negative is 285. Okay, so meaning there's, in that coding, there's something that I'm very much related, I'm very much involved in this. There's some involvement, direct involvement, touching the fiber of this. And the 12th of October is also when the Cologne came to America and all that.
Columbus Day, yeah.
And Columbus Day, and okay, so different things there. There was a lot of things with Columbus also related with these days. There was a lot of things with Julius Bern related. Okay, there were many connections in relation with this, which I'm not going to get into. Bye, Miriam.
Bye, Miriam.
Bye. So that's basically it. You're gonna have that the scar, the wound. You're gonna have the wound.
It's like an original trauma, isn't it? Somehow an original wound. Yeah.
Because the wounds of Earth are registered in the wounds of our human psyche also. And the same way the wounds of a family is passed on to the next generation in a way, but not because there's this, like, you know, reality has this sadistic
No.
Okay, no, why? Like, reality always does something for a purpose. And what's the reason is because that wound has to be carried on to do the transition from that wound going to a natural beauty. So somebody has to carry it. You see, somebody has to carry the memory of that wound. Because remember, always, 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 an accident is a future natural beauty. So, like the Earth's accidents have become natural beauties.
Beauties, yeah.
In the same way.
Yeah.
But from one to another, there's a transition. So there has to be elements that do the transition. Yeah. The beautiful thing is to begin to understand that path, that transition, that plot has a reason. So like the Gregorian calendar, which I remember Alejandro used to like visceral shouting, hating of it, and now it's this marvelous thing, because also we have to also allow the cry of the wound. We have to allow that to happen and lick the wound. We have to go through all the chapters of the process. We can't just go like kind of like from the wound to the natural beauty. It doesn't work that way. There's transition. And in that transition, there's a moment that we see the wound, as something that is not nice, that is painful, and there's a cry from it. There's a rage from it. There's an anger from it and all that. That is important, but it's not the destiny. It's not the destiny. The destiny is not that. The destiny is the beauty, but the natural beauty. So Alejandro's like, okay, look at all those very bad things I was saying, but now we can see the natural beauty, which is it basically, because it disconnected the souls with a genetic projection. Imagine, it's like, okay, it's not nice, but it reconnected something else. And now I feel we can just bring the soul into it and work all in, in a harmonics. Because at one point you disconnect this to reconnect this, but at one point you have to reconnect both. You see what I mean? At one point you have to reconnect everything. It's like, when you want to change, there's some electrical problem in the house, and you disconnect the electricity and you put them together, and so you connect that which was not connecting, and then you put it, and then it works all together. Yeah, it's kind of like that, Yeah. Now the time that they taken the electricity off, it's like, man, I can't use the electricity, I can't use my internet, I can't use all that. Yeah, but well, okay, it's uncomfortable, but it's because something is reconnecting in another level. But we can complain, we are allowed to cry, because to lose the connection with your soul, it's not nice. And that's the the materialistic reductionist science. Where does that come from? Disconnection. You wouldn't say that. That's a disconnection, but that is in another level of reconnection. You see? So now we can invite everyone to the party, and I feel that way. We can reconnect all of them, but everyone has to respect their own place, their own area, not to stand upon, not the soul to use the earth for its own gain. Okay, now we have to respect the membranes that connect all this. You see? Guys, thanks a lot. Have a good Sunday, whatever you got left of it. In Europe, not a lot. And just, well, thank you. And I'll be sending the recording. And we will coordinate the last part, but really it's not going to be too much. It's not going to be too long. I would say a couple of hours, and we can really see it well. Any questions about dates or blah, 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 use the WhatsApp. I'll be very happy to answer. But yeah, I feel this point is in this moment of the contribution of logic is making all the rest have a lot of sense. Yeah. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Like a bird on a tree,